is not for the faint of heart. This eerie ritual, which originated on a Japanese forum in 2008, promises to transport players to an alternate world if they follow its chilling steps precisely. But those who play it know the risks. A journey that may lead them somewhere they can never return from, with a sinister presence haunting their every step. The rules are deceptively simple. Enter an empty building with at least 10 floors and step into the elevator alone. Press a specific sequence of buttons, 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, and 5, and upon reaching the 5th floor, something unsettling is said to happen. The door may open, revealing a mysterious woman standing there, dressed in shadows and staring straight ahead, ignoring the player. Legends warn never to look at her, speak to her, or acknowledge her presence, for she is not human. Those who break this rule have reportedly vanished without a trace, drawn into her icy, haunting gaze. If the ritual continues correctly, pressing the 1st floor should cause the elevator to ascend to the 10th floor instead, defying the commands. When the doors open, players will find themselves in a world both familiar and unsettlingly different, a barren, dark version of their own reality, empty and silent. Outside, a red cross glows ominously in the distance, casting an eerie light over a desolate landscape. They say if you step out here, you may become trapped, lost in this strange dimension, never to return. To return to the real world, the player must repeat the same button sequence, resisting the urge to look at the woman if she reappears. But the game is dangerous. Many who claim to have survived report feeling watched, plagued by shadows and strange figures following them long after they leave the elevator. The elevator game is not just a harmless superstition, but a doorway into darkness, a ritual that blurs the line between worlds and calls forth a presence that seems to lurk in the shadows. And for those who dare to play, one warning remains. Once you enter, you may never find your way back. In this calming bedtime tale, we'll explore the curious urban legend of the 999 phone charging myth, a story about a phone trick that never quite worked but sparked imaginations. Relax and enjoy. The 999 phone charging myth is a widely circulated urban legend, particularly in the United Kingdom, that claims calling 999, the UK's emergency services number, can magically charge a mobile phone's battery. According to the myth, dialing the number and then immediately hanging up is supposed to give your phone an instant boost of power, effectively extending its battery life. This claim, although entirely false, has been surprisingly persistent, with many people over the years believing or at least wondering if there's some truth to it. While the exact origin of the myth is unclear, it likely began circulating in the early days of mobile phones, when people were still learning the nuances of how these devices worked. Some suggest it may have originated from confusion around how phones access emergency services even when they appear to have no signal or very low battery. This feature, which allows phones to make emergency calls even in unfavorable conditions, may have been misunderstood, leading to the belief that calling 999 somehow recharges the phone. In the age of social media, the myth gained new life. People posted about their experiences trying the trick, and discussions on online forums, blogs, and social networks helped spread the false information further. The 9112 do not have the capability to transmit any form of electrical charge to a mobile device. The idea that merely making a phone call could restore battery life is not supported by any scientific or technical evidence. In fact, making a phone call when your battery is already low can drain it further, especially if the call is placed to an emergency line. Mobile phones consume more power when trying to connect to emergency services, particularly if the signal is weak. So, far from saving battery life, calling 999 could actually lead to your phone shutting down faster. While the myth may seem harmless, it can have serious consequences. In the UK, calling 999 without a legitimate emergency wastes time and resources for emergency operators and responders. Every unnecessary call diverts attention from real emergencies where lives might be at stake. In extreme cases, repeated hoax calls can result in legal consequences. Intentionally making prank calls to emergency services is a criminal offense in many countries, and those caught misusing these numbers may face fines or even imprisonment. In the UK, making hoax calls to 999 can lead to legal action under the Communications Act 2003. Emergency service organizations, mobile phone companies, and fact-checking websites have repeatedly debunked the 999 phone charging myth. These efforts aim to educate the public about how mobile phones and emergency services really work in hopes of preventing misuse. In a world where misinformation can spread quickly, it's important to approach such claims with skepticism and rely on credible sources for information. If your phone battery is low, the only way to recharge it is to connect it to a power source. No phone call, emergency or otherwise, will change that. In summary, the 999 phone charging myth is just that, a myth. It's essential to understand how mobile phones function and to avoid making false calls to emergency numbers, ensuring that emergency services remain available for those who truly need them. We dive into the unsettling tale of the colander lie detector, a strange and eerie urban legend. Settle in, relax, and let this mysterious story guide you gently into sleep. An eerie urban legend from the 1960s speaks of a chilling interrogation method used by police or army investigators. It began with a crude yet unsettling setup. A colander, typically used for straining pasta, repurposed into a nightmarish piece of equipment. The investigators would place this everyday kitchen item onto the head of a suspect, but its sinister transformation didn't end there. Wires connected the colander to a photocopier, creating the illusion of advanced technology. In a dimly lit interrogation room, the suspect suspect was bombarded with questions. The investigators' eyes would dart back and forth between the suspect and the machine, waiting for the first crack in their story. Each time the suspect answered, the photocopier would whir to life, spitting out a fresh sheet of paper. The sound of its mechanical churning filled the room, amplifying the sense of dread. If the answer was deemed acceptable, the machine remained silent, offering a brief respite. But if the investigators found the response suspicious or dishonest, the copier would hiss and clunk, printing a single sheet with a damning message: "He's lying." The effect was immediate. Suspects, already frazzled and scared, would crumble under the pressure of the so-called lie detector, convinced that the colander was exposing their every falsehood. They couldn't know that it was all a cruel trick. The investigators manipulated the machine, not through science or technology, but through psychological warfare. The power of suggestion turned the colander and photocopier into terrifying tools, blurring the line between reality and fiction. Some say the interrogators used this method for years, laughing behind closed doors at how easily their victims were broken by the sight of a kitchen utensil on their head. But as with any legend, the line between truth and myth is thin. Stories began to circulate of suspects who couldn't handle the pressure, of minds unravelling as they became trapped in a game where the stakes felt life or death. Whispers of the colander lie detector persist, and while it's easy to dismiss it as a bizarre tale from the past, one can't help but wonder if, somewhere in a dark corner of the world, the machine is still being used, waiting to catch its next victim in its web of fear and deception. Tonight, we journey to Iowa City, where the eerie legend of the Black Angel awaits. Let the mysterious tale of this cursed statue guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. The Black Angel is a haunting urban legend centered around a statue in Oakland Cemetery, Iowa City. The statue, standing over 8 feet tall, was erected in 1912 to mark the grave of Teresa Feldovert, a woman of Czech descent. Over time, the statue gained a sinister reputation, and many locals began to believe it was cursed. The Black Angel originally had a bright bronze colour, but as the years passed, it darkened to a deep black, which fueled the legend's eerie narrative. Some say the change in colour represents the anger or grief of Teresa's spirit. Others believe the blackened statue is an omen of death, with various warnings attached to it. One popular belief is that anyone who touches or kisses the statue will be met with an untimely death. Another variation claims that those who look directly into the angel's eyes at midnight will be cursed. The statue's mysterious appearance, combined with its dark colour and imposing presence, has made it a popular site for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers. Many visit the cemetery to test the legend, while others keep their distance, unwilling to risk the supposed curse. Though the Black Angel story is rooted in local folklore, the real cause of the statue's discoloration is simply weathering and oxidation of the bronze. Despite this, the legend remains a captivating part of Iowa City's history, continuing to intrigue and frighten those who hear it. Whether cursed or not, the Black Angel stands as a reminder of how myths can grow around even the most ordinary objects. explore the chilling legend of the Beast of Bladenborough, a mysterious creature that once terrorised a small town. Settle in, relax, and let this eerie tale guide you to sleep. The Beast of Bladenborough, also known as the Vampire Beast or Vampire Cat, is an urban legend that originated in Bladenborough, North Carolina, during the winter of 1953 to 54. This eerie tale centres around a series of mysterious animal deaths that left the small town in fear. Over the course of several weeks, numerous pets and livestock were found dead, their bodies reportedly drained of blood, with locals attributing the attacks to an unknown predator. Witnesses described the beast as a large cat-like creature with dark fur, sharp claws, and glowing eyes. Some said it resembled a panther or cougar, while others believed it was something more sinister. The way the animals were killed, found with deep bite marks and their blood allegedly drained, led many to speculate that the creature was vampiric in nature, earning it the nickname Vampire Beast. As the attacks continued, fear spread through the town, and locals organised hunting parties in an attempt to track down the creature. Despite numerous efforts and a rising sense of panic, the beast was never captured or conclusively identified. Some hunters claimed to have spotted the creature, but it always seemed to vanish before anyone could get a clear shot. Over time, the sightings diminished, and the strange animal deaths eventually stopped. Though no solid evidence of the beast's existence was ever found, the legend persisted, with some believing the creature still roams the woods surrounding Bladenborough. The mystery of what truly caused the deaths remains unsolved, leaving the Beast of Bladenborough to live on as one of North Carolina's most chilling urban legends. We journey into the misty woods of Bradley, where the sorrowful spirit of the Black Lady roams. Let her quiet footsteps guide you into a peaceful, restful sleep. The Black Lady of Bradley Woods is a haunting figure from English folklore, said to roam the dark and mysterious woods near the village of Bradley in Lincolnshire. This spectral presence has been a part of local legend for centuries, with many claiming to have caught glimpses of her wandering the woods, shrouded in sorrow and silence. Described as a tall, slender woman, dressed entirely in black, the Black Lady is most often seen wearing a long, flowing cloak with a hood that covers her face. Her appearances are always marked by an overwhelming sense of sadness and grief, as if she is forever searching for something or someone lost. Her skin is pale, and her eyes, when visible, are filled with an eternal sorrow that seems to pierce through those who encounter her. According to the most well-known version of the legend, the Black Lady was once a young woman during the medieval period who lived happily with her husband, a soldier, and their newborn child in a cottage near the woods. However, her peaceful life was shattered when her husband was was called away to fight in the wars. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but he never returned. Then, one tragic night, a group of soldiers reportedly attacked the village, killing many and abducting the young woman's child. Devastated by the loss of her family, the young mother wandered the woods, searching endlessly for her child, until her grief consumed her, and she eventually perished. From that moment on, her restless spirit is said to have remained bound to the woods, eternally searching for her lost baby. Locals claim that the Black Lady appears most often on misty evenings, her figure emerging from the shadows of the trees. Some say she will ask passers-by if they have seen her child, while others report that she simply stares, lost in her grief, before vanishing back into the darkness. Over the years, the legend of the Black Lady has served as a cautionary tale for children, warning them to stay away from the woods after dark. While many are skeptical, there are still those who believe in her presence, and stories of sightings continue to circulate. Whether real or imagined, the Black Lady of Bradley Woods remains a symbol of deep sorrow and eternal longing. Her tragic story lingers in the minds of those who hear it, casting a shadow of mystery and sadness over the quiet village of Bradley. In the chilling lore of baseball history, there is one story whispered among fans that never loses its grip: the curse of the Bambino. The legend began in 1919 when the Boston Red Sox, champions of the World Series, made a grave mistake that would doom them for nearly a century. Seeking funds, the team's owner, Harry Frazee, sold their star player, Babe Ruth, to their bitter rivals, the New York Yankees. Known as the Bambino, Ruth was not only Boston's greatest asset, but a force that seemed blessed, touched by an otherworldly power. But this sale was no ordinary transaction. It was a betrayal, an offence to the very spirit of victory. Soon after, Boston's golden age faded. For the next 86 years, as Babe Ruth's star rose with the Yankees, the Red Sox were plagued with failure after failure, each season bringing cruel heartbreak. Fans began to believe they were cursed, haunted by Ruth's ghost, vengeful and unrelenting. They whispered that he had cursed the team, binding them to an endless cycle of defeat, an eternal punishment for the betrayal. The curse of the Bambino was born, and the city felt the shadow of dread every time their team reached the brink of victory, only to be torn down as if by some unseen, malicious hand. Terrifyingly, the curse seemed to manifest in bizarre ways. Balls veered off course at the last second. Players fumbled as if gripped by an invisible force. Even the stadium lights flickered ominously during critical moments. Fans watched with growing unease, knowing something dark loomed over their team. Game after game, year after year, hope turned to horror, then despair, as Boston's beloved team fell to seemingly supernatural misfortune. But in 2004, the impossible happened. The Red Sox, against all odds, won the World Series, breaking the curse. The city rejoiced, yet some fans remained haunted. They wondered, did they truly break the curse, or merely awaken it? Tonight's story takes us to the mysterious legend of the Bunny Man, a figure lurking in the shadows with an axe in hand. Close your eyes, relax, and let this eerie tale drift you to sleep. The Bunny Man is an eerie urban legend that took root in Fairfax County, Virginia in 1970 and has since spread across the Washington, D.C. area. The story has been retold in many forms, but the core of the legend centres around a mysterious figure dressed in a rabbit costume, referred to as the Bunny Man, who reportedly terrorises people with an axe. The legend is said to have originated from two strange incidents. The first took place in October 1970, when a young couple parked their car near a secluded area to talk. Suddenly, a man in a bunny suit appeared out of nowhere, wielding an axe. He angrily yelled at them about trespassing on his property before smashing the car window with the axe. Fortunately, the couple was able to drive away unharmed, but the encounter left them shaken. The second incident occurred just 10 days later. A security guard noticed a man dressed in a similar rabbit costume standing on the porch of a newly built home. The Bunny Man allegedly began hacking away at the structure with an axe, yelling that the house was built on his land. By the time authorities arrived, the Bunny Man had vanished, leaving behind a scene of destruction and confusion. From these two reports, the legend of the Bunny Man grew, and with it, many variations began to emerge. Some versions of the tale claim that the Bunny Man is the ghost of an escaped mental patient who had a psychotic break and now haunts the area, seeking revenge on anyone who crosses his path. Others suggest that the Bunny Man is still alive, lurking in the woods of Virginia, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim. The most notorious version of the legend involves the Bunny Man Bridge, a secluded railway overpass near Clifton, Virginia. According to some, this bridge is where the Bunny Man is most likely to appear, especially on Halloween night. Witnesses have claimed to hear strange noises or even see the shadowy figure of the Bunny Man wielding his infamous axe. While there is no solid evidence to prove the existence of the Bunny Man, the legend has persisted for decades, fueling local folklore and unsettling the imaginations of those who dare to explore the areas where the Bunny Man is said to roam. Tonight, but still too early to start their day, many couples would turn to each other and engage in intimate activities to pass the time. This, the story goes, led to a surprising mini baby boom in the town. The charm of the baby train legend lies in a simple, almost innocent explanation for the town's population growth. The idea that a regular and mundane event like a train whistle could influence something as significant as the town's birth adds to the humour and appeal of the story. It's a light-hearted and somewhat plausible tale that could easily be shared at parties over casual conversations, evoking smiles and laughter. Despite its amusing premise, there is no evidence to support the claim that any town experienced a population boom because of an early morning train. Like many urban legends, the baby train story likely originated as a joke or exaggeration and spread through word of mouth, gaining momentum as people enjoyed its quirky logic. Over time, it became a part of urban folklore, continuing to circulate despite the lack of factual basis. Ultimately, the baby train remains a playful legend, a reminder of how easily a funny story can take on a life of its own, even when it's based on nothing more than a clever idea. While there may not be a real town with a baby boom caused by a train whistle, the legend endures as an example of how myths and tales can blend everyday life with unexpected outcomes. Shadowy annals of New England's history, amidst tales of spectral figures and cursed lands, the story of Eunice Cole, or Goody Cole, stands out with a chilling resonance. In the small town of Brentwood, New Hampshire, her name became synonymous with witchcraft and woe, her life a testament to the dark superstitions that once gripped the heart of the 17th century. Goody Cole was an enigmatic figure, her life shrouded in misfortune and mystery. First accused of witchcraft in 1656, she became the scapegoat for every disaster that befell the town, from unexplained deaths to failing crops and dying livestock. Her neighbours' fear and suspicion branded her an outcast, a woman touched by the devil himself. The townsfolk whispered that she could be seen muttering to herself in the woods, concocting strange brews and communing with unseen forces. Children dared each other to peek through her dimly lit windows, only to flee in terror at the sight of her shadowy form bending over a flickering flame. It was said that she cast curses with a glance and summoned storms with a wave of her gnarled hands. Her repute as a witch grew so dire that in 1673 she was accused once more. This time, the evidence was more damning, the fear more palpable. They dragged her before the court, her eyes blazing with defiance as the charges were read. Found guilty, she was sentenced to imprisonment, her final years spent in the cold, dark confines of a cell, where she was left to languish, forgotten by all but those who feared her curse. But death did not bring Goody Cole peace. The town, eager to rid itself of her malignant influence once and for all, buried her in an unmarked grave at the edge of the cemetery. They drove a stake through the heart of her plot grim ritual to prevent her tormented spirit from rising and haunting them. Yet, this act only solidified her legend, and it was said that her spirit lingered, malevolent and vengeful. To this day, eerie occurrences in Brentwood are often whispered to be the workings of Goody Cole's restless ghost. On stormy nights, some claim to see her figure in the flashes of lightning, wandering the woods or standing by her unmarked grave, still bound by the town's collective dread. Her legend has become a chilling reminder of the power of fear and the lasting stain of injustice, her story echoing through the centuries as a spectral tale of a woman wronged, her vengeance immortalised in the whispered fears of those who remember. Tonight, we journey to Iowa City, where the eerie legend of the Black Angel awaits. Let the mysterious tale of this cursed statue guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. The Black Angel is a haunting urban legend centered around a statue in Oakland Cemetery, Iowa City. The statue, standing over 8 feet tall, was erected in 1912 to mark the grave of Teresa Feldovert, a woman of Czech descent. Over time, the statue gained a sinister reputation, and many locals began to believe it was cursed. The Black Angel originally had a bright bronze colour, but as the years passed, it darkened to a deeper black, which fueled the legend's eerie narrative. Some say the change in colour represents the anger or grief of Teresa's spirit. Others believe the blackened statue is an omen of death, with various warnings attached to it. One popular belief is that anyone who touches or kisses the statue will be met with an untimely death. Another variation claims that those who look directly into the angel's eyes at midnight will be cursed. The statue's mysterious appearance, combined with its dark colour and imposing presence, has made it a popular site for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers. Many visit the cemetery to test the legend, while others keep their distance, unwilling to risk the supposed curse. Though the Black Angel story is rooted in local folklore, the real cause of the statue's discoloration is simply weathering and oxidation of the bronze. Despite this, the legend remains a captivating part of Iowa City's history, continuing to intrigue and frighten those who hear it. Whether cursed or not, the Black Angel stands as a reminder of how myths can grow around even the most ordinary objects. Tonight, let me guide you into the shadows of ancient Spain, where the chilling legend of the Castilian lisp unfolds. Relax, close your eyes, and let the whispers of history lull you to sleep. In the dark corners of Spain's forgotten history, a chilling tale has lingered for centuries, whispered among locals and passed down from generation to generation. Is the legend of the Castilian lisp, a haunting story that, while discredited by scholars, continues to send shivers down the spines of those who hear it. Long ago, in a time when kings ruled with an iron fist and the boundaries between myth and reality were blurred, there was was a king unlike any other. His name has been lost to the shadows of time, but his affliction, an unmistakable lisp, would echo across Spain, leaving a trail of fear and confusion in its wake. The king's speech was strange, almost inhuman, as though something had cursed his very words. His voice carried an eerie sibilance, a sound that cut through the air like the hiss of a snake. The court, terrified of the king's wrath, dared not speak of his speech defect, but whispers of dark magic and ancient curses spread beyond the castle walls, infecting the imagination of the populace. It was said that the king's lisp was no mere quirk of speech, but the result of a sinister pact made with forces beyond this world. Some claimed he had bargained with a demon for power, and in return his tongue was twisted, forcing him to speak in a way that no one else could. Others believed that a vengeful witch had cursed him, condemning his voice to forever sound as though it were tethered to the underworld. As the legend goes, the king was a man of great influence, and no one dared to correct his speech. Instead, out of fear, the courtiers and nobles began to mimic the king's pronunciation. His strange lisp spread like a disease, infecting the tongues of those who sought to curry favour with the crown. Soon, it was said, the entire kingdom spoke as their king did, their voices carrying the cursed sound of the theatre. The streets echoed with the eerie lisp, a constant reminder of the dark secret lurking in Spain's past. Children grew up speaking the language of the damned, unaware of the malevolent forces that had shaped their words. Though historians have debunked this tale as pure fantasy, the legend persists, a chilling reminder of how even the most benign of sounds can carry with them the weight of a curse. The next time you hear the soft hiss of a theatre in Spanish speech, remember the tale of the cursed king and wonder what dark power still lingers behind the sound. Deep within Utah's Escalante petrified forest, legends warn of a curse that brings misfortune upon those who dare to disturb its ancient relics. For countless years, this eerie forest has stood still, haunted by trees turned to stone, their wood transformed into glistening shards over millennia. Tourists marvel at the colours and textures, but there's a rule among locals: never take a piece of the forest home. The curse, they say, is vengeful and patient. Stories tell of visitors who couldn't resist pocketing a fragment of petrified wood, believing they'd taken only a small, harmless memento. But the forest doesn't forgive theft. Those who take from Escalante soon find themselves ensnared in a web of relentless misfortune. One man, who once laughed off the legend, lost his job within a week. His family fell into financial ruin, and he became consumed by regret, unable to escape the shadow of his actions. Others have faced accidents so sudden and strange they could only be explained by the curse. A woman who took a single stone reported a horrifying series of events. Her car veered off the road on her way home, narrowly escaping a fatal crash. Her health began to fail inexplicably, her body growing weaker as if drained by an unseen force. Her nights became plagued with nightmares of twisted, ghostly trees, watching her with hollow, accusing eyes. Desperate to break the curse, people mail pieces of petrified wood back to the park, hoping for mercy. Rangers at Escalante receive hundreds of packages each year, filled with stones and pleas for forgiveness. Letters pour in, recounting stories of illness, financial collapse, and near-death experiences. The packages lie unopened, scattered as grim reminders that the forest does not forget. So, the legend endures, a chilling warning to those who visit. Leave the forest as you found it, or face its wrath. The moonlit trees of Escalante may seem still and silent, but they guard their secrets jealously. Those who steal from them awaken a curse, one that clings to their lives, unrelenting until the debt is paid, or until they are no more. Tonight, let's uncover the haunting legend of the Bell Witch, a mysterious entity that terrorized a family in early 19th century Tennessee. Relax and let this eerie tale guide you to restful sleep. The Bell Witch is an enduring folklore legend that originated in Robertson County, Tennessee, from 1817 to 1821. The story centres around the Bell family, particularly John Bell Sr., a farmer whose household and nearby community were reportedly terrorised by a mysterious and mostly invisible entity. Unlike typical ghost stories, the Bell Witch was said to be capable of speaking, interacting with the physical environment, and even shape-shifting. According to legend, the haunting began when John Bell Sr. encountered strange phenomena on his property, including unexplained noises such as knocking and scratching and the sighting of bizarre animals. As time went on, the entity became more aggressive, attacking family members by pulling their hair, slapping them, and speaking in a disembodied voice. The witch, as it came to be known, seemed to hold a particular hatred for John Bell Sr. and his daughter Betsy. The Bell Witch's powers reportedly escalated, with the entity predicting events and conversing with visitors to the Bell home. Some accounts even claim that the witch was responsible for John Bell Sr.'s death in 1820, allegedly poisoning him. Over the years, the Bell Witch legend has grown into a widely known ghost story, with many believing it to be one of the most famous hauntings in American history. While the true cause of the events remains a mystery, the story of the Bell Witch continues to capture the imaginations of those fascinated by the paranormal. The legend persists today, with people still visiting the site in Tennessee, where the Bell family once lived, in search of answers to the eerie tale. Let's journey into the haunting forests of Veracruz, where ancient whispers tell of mysterious creatures called the Cheneques. Close your eyes, relax, and let their eerie legend guide you to sleep. In the dense, untamed forests of Veracruz, whispers of an ancient terror linger, the Cheneques. Born from the depths of Aztec mythology, these eerie creatures these guardians are far from benevolent. The Shanekes are small, no taller than a child, but their appearance is deceptive. They take on the guise of tiny men and women, their forms twisted and contorted, with eyes that glimmer like blackened coals. Their laughter, an eerie, high-pitched sound, echoes through the trees, growing louder the deeper you wander into the forest. Travellers who hear this sound know they've strayed too far into Shanek territory, and once the creatures have set their sights on you, escape is nearly impossible. The air grows thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and rotting leaves, and suddenly you'll realise that the path you were following has vanished. The trees around you seem to close in, and the familiar sounds of the forest, birdsong, the rustling of leaves, fall deathly silent. It is then that the Shaneks strike. With swift, silent movements, they dart between the trees, their eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Their soft whispers crawl inside your head, filling your mind with confusion and dread. Legends say that the Shanek possess a terrifying power. They can steal a person's tonali, the very essence of one's soul. Once taken, the victim is left wandering in a daze, trapped in a state of confusion and fear. Days turn to weeks, and the unfortunate traveller begins to wither, their mind unravelling until they are but a hollow shell of their former self. To those who manage to escape the forest, the ordeal never truly ends. They say that the Shanekes curse their victims with endless nightmares and strange illnesses, their whispers haunting them long after they've left the woods behind. The only way to break free is to return to the forest and appease the Shaneks with offerings of food or valuables. A dangerous proposition, for those who return rarely make it out alive. In the dark, shadowy depths of the forest, the Shaneks wait, ever watchful. For once you enter their domain, you belong to them, and they will not let you go. In the shadowed realms of rural lore, where the line between jest and truth blurs, the legend of cow tipping haunts the fields and farmyards. Said to be a moonlit escapade for thrill-seeking youths, this bizarre activity involves the stealthy approach towards an unsuspecting cow, fast asleep standing upright in the darkness, and the sudden, forceful shove to topple the massive beast over for mere sport. But beyond the surface of this seemingly harmless prank lies a more chilling narrative, whispered among those who know the countryside's true face after dark. As the legend goes, in a secluded farming community, enveloped by the embrace of ancient woods and forgotten roads, cow tipping became more than just a reckless pastime. It morphed into a ritual of fear. The teens of this town, driven by boredom and the intoxicating rush of defiance, would venture out into the fields under the guise of night, their laughter slicing through the silence like a cold wind. But there was one night that turned their mischievous jaunt into a nightmare. As the group approached a familiar pasture, the moon hung low and ominous, bathing everything in a ghostly silver hue. The cows stood like monolithic statues in the mist, their breath forming clouds in the crisp air. Emboldened by the eerie night, the teens singled out a large, shadowy figure at the edge of the field. With a mix of exhilaration and alcohol-fueled bravado, they crept up to the sleeping cow. However, as they laid their hands on the creature, ready to push, the cow did not budge. Instead, it slowly turned its head, revealing not the docile eyes of a farm animal, but the glowing red orbs of a creature from deeper shadows. The teens froze, their hearts pounding as the cow, or the thing that masqueraded as one, rose unnaturally otherwise haunted by the memory. The story spread, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires and during late-night gatherings. Cow tipping was no longer seen as a harmless challenge, but as a dare with potentially dire consequences. To this day, the fields at the edge of that town remain untouched at night, the cows left to their peaceful slumber. For the locals know that some rural myths are better left untested, and that disturbing the natural order can awaken things best left asleep in the darkness. Welcome to our soothing journey into the mysterious world of urban legends. Tonight, we'll explore the haunting tale of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, a story that whispers through the ages. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall is one of the most famous ghost stories in England, originating from the picturesque Raynham Hall in Norfolk. This legend captures the imagination of those fascinated by the supernatural and the unexplained. Raynham Hall, built in the early 18th century, was the ancestral home of the Townshend family. It is a grand estate characterised by its stunning architecture and beautiful grounds, but it also harbours a chilling tale of loss and lingering spirits. The story of the Brown Lady is closely linked to Lady Dorothy Walpole, the sister of the first Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole. It is said that she married Charles Townshend, a man known for his volatile temperament. The couple's marriage was fraught with difficulties, leading to tragedy and heartbreak. According to legend, Lady Dorothy fell in love with another man, which enraged her husband. In a fit of jealousy, Townshend confined her to Raynham Hall, where she was said to have lived in isolation for many years. Her suffering took a toll on her health, and it is believed that she eventually died of despair. Some accounts suggest that she was buried in a secret location, leading to speculation about a restless spirit haunting the halls of the estate. The haunting began to capture public attention in the early 20th century when two photographers, including Captain Hubert Provat, visited Raynham Hall in 1936. They were there to capture images of the historic building when they encountered an unexpected sight. As they set up their equipment, a figure appeared before them, a woman in a flowing brown gown, seemingly floating down the staircase. Provat and his colleague quickly snapped a photograph, which would later become one of the most famous ghost images in history. The photograph, known as the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, shows a spectral figure descending the staircase, shrouded in a mysterious aura. This image sparked widespread fascination and debate, drawing the attention of both skeptics and believers in the paranormal. Many claimed it was a